let us step on to the next phase, like the validation. So like in order to do the validation, so like we need the help of the conditions in Java. So there are multiple conditions available in Java. So generally we call it as an if, else if, else, and switch. Okay, so these are the various conditions like which is available in the Java. So generally, like if you need to verify whether the two numbers are equal, so we may prefer the condition. And how we are going to use this condition, in the sense we are having the specific syntax, like we will be using the keyword called as an if, and inside this if, like we will be specifying the conditions. So whenever the provided condition is true, so then the particular if block will execute. Okay, so we are going to use the keyword called as an if, followed by we are going to specify the condition, and whatever the condition we have provided, if the condition is true, then the particular block will execute. So the particular if block will execute one and only if the provided condition is true. In case if the provided condition is false, then it will execute the default block called as an else block. Okay, so we call this else block as a default block. In a else block, we won't specify any condition. So if the above condition fails, then by default, so the else block will execute. So for example, like you are having two integer value. So int a is equal to 1, and then like int b is equal to 2. So now you need to verify, or we need to specify, we need to check so whether the a and b are equal. So how you can verify, in the sense with the help of the condition. So like generally, like we are going to check whether both are equal or not. So how you can verify it is equal or not, in the sense, so like when it is of an equal, so in a programming language, if you use double equal to, so it will mention it is like you are going to check whether the both numbers are equal. So likewise, if you are going to add something, like you may use the plus symbol and then followed by the minus, greater than, lesser than. So these are the mathematical notation, like we will be using in the programming language, and which we call it as an operators. Okay, so operators of Java. So you need to specify the operator. So as we are going to check whether both the number is equal or not, we are going to use the operator called as an equal to equal to. So now I am creating the if block. I'm going to check whether both a and b are equal. So I have told multiple times, like the variable holds the value. So inside the a, the corresponding value will be stored. Inside the b, the corresponding value will be stored. I'm just checking of the condition whether a, I'm using the operator called as an equal to b. So when a and b are equal, so the condition is true. If A and B are not equal, then the condition will be false. So whenever the condition is true, it will execute this particular block called as an if. Okay, so if this is a true, then I am just printing the statement. So stating that like both are equal. So whenever you are mention something in a inside the double quotation, so it will print as it is. Okay, so like whenever you're adding the system.out.println, so if you mention something inside the double quotation, so like whatever you have mentioned, it will print as it is. So I can say like both are equal. So it will print the message in the console, so stating that like both are equal. So if the above condition fails, then obviously like we need to create the default block, so which we call it as an else block. So in which I can add one more print statement, so stating that like both are not equal. So now let me try to like convert this concept as a program inside our project. So like inside the test Java, I'm going to create a new package called as an Java basics. So now in which like I'm going to add a new class. I'm just giving the class name as a condition example. So in order to run the Java program, so we need the main method. So the shortcut for creation of the main method is like PSVM, and I'm just typing PSVM and then I'm clicking on the enter. Here I'm initializing two variable. So int a is equal to 1 and int b is equal to 2. So now I'm going to check whether a and b are equal or not. So how I'm going to check with the help of the condition. So I'm using the condition. So if a, I'm using the appropriate operator, which is nothing but I'm going to use the equal to operator. So like I'm just the double equal to indicates it's an equal to operator. So I'm just checking whether a and b are equal. If the a and b are equal, then we need to create a if block, and inside the if block I'm just adding the sysout statement, so stating that like both are like equal. So if the condition fails, then by default the else block will be execute, and inside which I'm adding one more print statement, so stating that like not equal. Okay, so in this case, like for sure, like you all aware, like the a and b are not equal, and it is going to execute the else block, and in the console we are going to see the message called as an not equal to. So now let me just try to run this up and check the output. So for sure the output should be like kind of an not equal. So let the program be run. So you could see like it is printing the output as not equal. So how the block work in the sense like whenever you are executing any of the program, so line by line you should understand like what happening over the specific line of code. So in order to like observe what's happening, so we are going to add a breakpoints. Okay, so the breakpoints, or we call it as an debug points. So whenever we add the breakpoints, the execution will be under our control, which means the programmer can physically visualize like what's happening in the piece of code, in the piece of line. And how we can add the breakpoints or debug points in the sense, like for example I need to know, because like here we are checking the condition, right? I need to know what happening in the line number 10. So what you can hover the mouse, and if you just hover your mouse over the line number 10, you could see some red dot. If I just do the single click, so some point will be added up. So these we call it as an breakpoint or the debug point. So which means when we execute the program, so as the breakpoint is present here, like it will halt, it will pause the execution. So by this way, like we will get to know so what is happening in this particular line. So wherever needed, I am just adding the breakpoints. So I'm adding the three breakpoints only the, like in the line number 10, 13 and the 16. So now instead of right clicking and run the program, I'm going to run the program in the debug mode. So one and only if you run the program in the debug mode, it will consider the breakpoints. So which means like wherever the breakpoints is provided, so the execution will be get halt. So now let me just run through the debugger mode. So when I run in debug mode, so what happened? Like the program has been paused. So like as we have like added the breakpoint at the line number 10, so like it has paused the program, and the programmer can physically visualize So what is happening in the line number 10? So in the line number 10, we are passing the two inputs. One is like A and another is equal to B. So the value of A is 1 and the B is 2. And suppose that like we are checking a condition. So what is the condition we are checking? Whether both A and B are equal. So if I hover my mouse over the uh, respective condition, so it is displaying as a false. So which means the provided condition is false. So we generally call the true or false as a boolean. Okay, so we generally call the true or false as a boolean. So like this is the next data type which is available in the Java, so we call it as a boolean data type. In the boolean data type, either we can store it as a true or false. Okay, so either you can store the value called as a true or false. So here we are going to verify the boolean value. So whenever the boolean value is true, the particular block will execute, and if the boolean value is false, like then it will skip the particular block. So here the boolean value is false, which is nothing but the condition is failed. Then it will skip the if block, and if I resume the program, how I can resume the program in the sense in the console, like you could see, you can able to see the resume program. If I click on it, so it is jumping to the line number 16 because the provided condition is false, the boolean is false. So whenever the boolean is false, it will skip the particular block and it will execute the default block called as an else block. And if I resume the program, it will print the error message as a not equal. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm just making this value as a and b value as 10. Now again I'm going to run in a debugger mode. So now for sure, like whenever it is going to check the condition, so let's state like you are going to check the condition whether the A and B are equal. So you could see as in the debugger mode, so the input of the A is 10 and the input of B is 10. If I hover a mouse over it, it is going to validate whether A and B are equal, and it is returning the boolean value as true. So whenever the boolean value is true, it will skip the default block and it will execute the current block. If I resume the program, now you could see the control is jumping into the if block, and if I resume the program in the console, it will print the output as an equal. So the reason why it is executing the if block by skipping the else block in the sense, whenever the condition is true, the particular block will execute. Whenever the condition is false, it will execute the default block. Okay, so in the similar way, like how we are using the double equal to operator for comparing like two integer value, if we need to compare two string value, then we should use the method in Java called as an equals. Okay, so there is a method in Java called as an equals method. So the equals method always compares the two string. Okay, it will always compare the two string value. So let's say like I'm having string h is equal to abc, and then I'm having one more string k is equal to abc. So now I need to validate so whether the the two string value h and k are equal. So how we can achieve? Always like we need to seek help from the Java. We are going to use the condition. We are going to create a if block, and in which like we are going to specify the condition which we are going to check. So here we are going to check whether both are equal to or not. So I can just say h equal to k, but the operators is used for comparing the numerical value. So like what are the different types of operators which are available in the Java, in the sense we are having the equal to operator, addition operator, subtraction operator, division, multiplication, and the greater than, lesser than, greater than or equal to, lesser than or equal to, or not equal to. So like these are the multiple operators which are available in the Java. So these operators are purely used to compare the numerical values. So whenever like you are going to do some mathematical operation over the numerical value, so you can choose any of the operators. But in our case, like we are going to compare two string. So just I told, like whenever we are going to compare the two string, so like you should use the inbuilt method, so which is available. So I when I give h dot, so for like it will suggest the method called as an equals. Okay, so we are going to use the method called as an equals. So the reason why we are using the equals method in the sense, because like it will compare the two string. So we are going to compare h with the k. So when the h and k matches, so which is nothing but when the boolean is true, the particular block will execute. So stating that like for now I am just mentioning as a true, else it will mention as the false. So now rather than executing the debugger mode, I am just running in a normal mode. So if I just right click and run the program, so now it will print the output as equal and then the output is true. And if you need to understand much better like how it is working up, then you can add the debugger mode in the line number like 22 as well as 24 and 27, and you can run in a debugger mode. Suppose that like you will get the clear picture. So like whenever you need to understand so what is happening in the respective line, then always feel free to use the debug points. So here you could see it is passing the value of h as abc and k as abc, and this equals method is going to compare like whether it is true or false. Obviously like, so if you hover the mouse it is like kind of an true, then it will step into the particular block and it will print the message called as a true. Okay, so with the help of the debug points we can easily understand so what is happening in the program. Okay, which is nothing but what is happening in the particular line. So like moving forward, like we will be using the debug points in multiple places to understand the logic. So whenever you are writing any of the program, so try to understand the logic with the help of the debug points. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to implement the same concept here, like I'm going to verify the error message. So which means like we are going to verify the error message. So this is the actual error message. Even I can have the variable name as an actual error message. So whatever which is displaying in the UI, we call it as an actual error message. But for sure, like in the appropriate requirement, they may have the given the expected result, and we need to compare the expected and the actual result. So like in order to compare, so I'm just mentioning whatever the expected result they have provided in the requirement document. So as it is of an text, I'm going to mention the expected result in the double quotes. Okay, so let's say like even if this is the expected result, I can simply hard code the expected result. The hard code in the sense whenever we manually inject any value inside the double quotes, we call it as an hard code value. Okay, so now I have hard coded the value, which is nothing but I have hard coded the expected result which is mentioned in the requirement document. So now we are going to compare the actual and the expected result. So how we can compare in the sense with the help of the condition. So if, so as it is of a string, so in order to compare two string, like we need to use the method called as an equals. I'm just going to compare the actual error message dot equals of, okay, expected error message. So I'm not at all typing the variable name, so just I'm providing the partial value and post that like from the suggestion I'm selecting the variable name, and we are creating the if block. So whenever the actual and the error message matches, like we can say like it is like equal. If it doesn't match, then we can
Yeah,
say it is like not equal. So now like if we run the program, so for sure like it will print the output as an equal. But in the real time, so we won't use the sysout statement. So as it is of like basic class, so I am mentioning the sysout. So because like in the real time, no one is going to look on the console. So now instead of the sysout statement, like we may use something called as an assertions. So that we will be discussing at the later part. So now if I try to run this particular class, so how we can run, I can right click and I click on the run. So it will do the respective operation, as well as like it is going to compare the actual and the expected result, and then like it is going to print the appropriate print statement whether it is equal or not equal. But in the real time, so it will make the test pass or fail. So if it is equal, it will pass the test case. If it is not equal, it will fail the test case. So how, in the sense, like with the help of the concept called as an assertions, so that we will be integrating while learning the framework. So now you could see the appropriate error message is printing, as well as it is printing the output as equal because the actual and expected matches. If you voluntarily change this expected result, then now what happened? Like there will be a mismatch in the error, mismatch in the comparison, which means like the actual and the expected result won't matches, and it will print the output as an not equal. Okay, so till this point, does anyone have any doubts? Someone has asked something, right? So now it is printing as an not equal.